Alright, it's back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup. I've been working on fabricating the firewall pieces. So what I done first was get these two side pieces in. So I got one on the other side as well, in order to kind of get the distance I needed away from the engine. And then I got that piece. That one's a mess because the firewall does all this weird curvy stuff, and it's got some bead rolling and all kinds of other stuff on the top end of it. And so that was super fiddly to, just grind down a little bit at a time. I made it a bit big and then just ground it down and ground it down and ground it down in order to take in all the little curves and bead roll and all kinds of other stuff. There's even a little bracket that I had to grind around in order to get that to fit. But that's working good. Leaving little Easter eggs, on the panels that I make, which is kind of fun. And so made that one, and I got one on the other side. Filled in this passenger side piece here as well. I forgot to bead roll it, which sucks, but I'm not going to cut it out. I figure with the weld all the way around it, it's going to get boxed in. On these sides, it's super stiff because it's got bead roll on either side. I'll bead roll this one. It's dumb that I did it, but whatever. I'm not going to take it out. And then I moved over to the driver's side, and so what I'll probably end up doing here once I get the driver's side piece is I'll have a piece that'll come from here around the bell housing and connect in to the other side. I'd like to make that in one piece, and so I need to be able to bend one around, and so I need to get the driver's side done. And then that, this doesn't interfere with the floorboards at all. As I mentioned previously, I got a lot of room here on the passenger side. So, I narrowed up that just because where I ended up setting the transmission was in the wrong spot. I moved it over, and, now I got this big old gap here that there's, no reason to have that much gap. I don't want the bell housing to start going up right here because I could, get like at least 3 more inches of footwell space for the passenger. So I gotta, get all those sort of things squared away. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that because there's going to be all kinds of extra dimensions. I'm not sure if I just make a flat piece here and then, worry about the hoop in one piece, or if I try to do the hoop and then connect it. I haven't decided that yet. So, got that side done. And then working over here on the driver's side. And so this is the piece that, the steering column comes through here, and that's the piece that I had to cut. And so I wanted to get that real tight because I want to be able to use these existing screw holes for the steering column. And then, the column comes through right here. And then the actual piece, I'll do the same thing that the factory did. I'll drill a hole, put a capture nut on the other side, and then I'll be able to bolt a few more spots for the steering column, so that's nice and stable. I had the column in here, and then I did see I got the brake pedal in here, and this pedal assembly ain't going to work, so this is going to take a total re-engineering of everything. So, this is where the brake is. And you can see, like, the master that's way over here, the brake pedal is not in alignment with the master at all. It's on, like, this weird post thing with, like, a spring, and what would end up doing is there would be a push rod that would hook in to this pin, and then that would go through to the master. So I got, like, 4 inches of play here, plus it kicks out to the side. And so, like, the distance from the master all the way to the brake cylinder is, like, 6 inches. And so, this is all the way up, basically, to where I'm going to be making bell housing. There would be no room for a throttle pedal at all in its current configuration. So I'm going to have to figure that all out. I mean, that whole thing needs to get reworked. I looked at the design of it. So this brake pedal is, just a piece of metal, and then it's hooked into a rod and it's welded into it. So I'm hoping I can take that apart, cut the pedal off of the rod, and then slide the whole thing over. I did check. The clutch does the same thing. So I did take the clutch assembly, and it does the same thing where it kicks over and then comes down. And so the clutch would be sitting like right in here. And I'm going to have to move that to basically be in alignment with the clutch in order to have an acceptable amount of room in the footwell, because, you know, the throttle's got to go like basically right here. I can't hardly gain any more foot space. As I mentioned, the slave cylinder for the transmission's got to go here. So I basically got to come up right here. And so if the throttle is sitting in this location here, I got to move all of my pedals over. Hopefully it doesn't completely mess up and have some goofy ass, you know, ergonomics to it. I mean, the steering column comes right through here, and so having the brake pedal to the left of the steering column a little bit, hopefully that's not a problem as far as like ergonomics. Hopefully I don't have like a bunch of weird space in between. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be a problem for future me to deal with, but it's going to be a weird one for sure. Lots of weird geometry and everything to deal with there. So a bit of a mess in this section, but it's not like a costly mistake because all of these pieces I already have everything. It'd just be a matter of like reworking them in order to fit. You can see the brake is hooked into this assembly here, and so that bolts to the firewall, and then it bolts to the dash, and then where it comes through right here is where the steering column hooks in. So like that assembly is totally necessary. Like I need to have that assembly in place in order to have the structure needed for the column and the brake and everything. Like I said, where the pedal is on this, you know, pin and tube assembly that's here right now, it's got to totally get reworked. So like I said, problem for future me. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show is something that I don't know, probably other people know, but I just figured out through trial and error. So this panel that I'm hooking in right here, there's all kinds of crazy dimensions on it, right? So there's, you know, it's flat right here, and then there's like the bead where the steering column hooks in, so it goes in and then down and then at an angle, and then it hooks into this panel up above that had some curve in it. And there's so many like crazy ass curves and everything, and you know, I don't have the talent for, you know, using like the dolly, and I don't have an air hammer in order to, you know, pound out perfectly shaped panels and English wheels and all that other crazy, super talented sheet metal stuff. So I kind of, you know, caveman through it. So what I end up doing is I hook a pair of ice grips. So there's a bit of a gap here, and I want to take in that gap. And so I hook in a pair of ice grips to squeeze that metal down, and then I use the air chisel, and then I blunt the hammerhead on it so it doesn't cut through the sheet metal. And then when it's under tension and it's getting squeezed, while it's under tension, I hit it with the air hammer, and then it sets it back in there. So this will get a little bit loud, but hopefully I can show you what that looks like. Alright, so that's it. So just been working that down, and so this was coming out way over here. I got a little bit, ooh, probably couldn't see a damn thing. So there was that little hump that was in there before. Still got a little bit left to do right there, but it seems to work pretty good. And just get a clamp on it. I've tried clamping and then welding, and that doesn't work real well. But if you clamp it, hit it with the hammer, bend it, and then weld it, then it seems to work a lot better. So, all right, well, I'll finish up the rest of it. Thanks. See you in the next one.